Okay, write the heading of the lesson. The last lesson. Lesson 1. The last lesson. There is one poetic device that is irony. It's just like an irony. We are going to start the first lesson, but the heading is the last lesson. Okay? And don't feel happy that Flamingo only one chapter is there in our syllabus. So how it is the last lesson? This chapter, it is set at the time of the Franco-Persian War, which was there at 1872-71. During that war, France was defeated, okay, and the districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine, they come under the Persians. So when there were the France, they were ruling at that time, French was taught in the schools. But now after this war, France was defeated. Now instead of French, there will be German. Because of this, Mr. M. Hemel, we will do about the characters also. He is French teacher, and this chapter, it is his last lesson in his class. After 40 years, he is going to from the school, because no teaching of French is there. That is why the title is The Last Lesson by Mr. M. Hamer, who was a French teacher in that Alsace and Lorraine district school. Okay, it is clear about the title. So first write the characters. First one is friends. Friends. A school going boy. Child boy. A school going boy. Second one is M. Hemant, a French teacher. Main two characters are there. One is friends, school going boy. Another one is Mr. M. Hemel. He is a French teacher. Now, next point is a message. What's the message of this lesson? There is not that there is a farewell of the teacher and the student, they are feeling sad, like these emotions and sentiments are there. No, that is a part of this lesson, no doubt. Teacher who has taught, who has done his services for 40 years, naturally it's a very tough time for him to leave the school. And for the students also, their French teacher, he is leaving, and naturally they are upset and they are sad. Maybe 50% that the teacher is going, maybe 50% that they haven't given attention towards the French. Now they want from where we should know about our own language, our native language, okay? And they have realized when the things, they are very easy for us, no value of that. But when we are losing, then we understand the value of the things. Now they are valuing the French teacher and the French language, because from tomorrow, from the next day, French will not be taught in the schools. Instead of French, German will be taught. That is why. So what is the message? Message is again, which I just discussed, value of our native language. If we have the understanding of our native language, we are having our identity. Suppose we are going somewhere in South Tamil like this. उस साइड में हम जाते हैं, we don't know whether we know the English. If the people are not speaking in English and they are speaking in their own language, and when if there is now international language is the English that is taught in other, so that is spoken in other states and the thing. Otherwise, the state language is being spoken. And then I belong to that particular state. But then when I came here in this northern side, I settled here. After 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I got a chance to go to my own state. I don't know about my own language, about my state language. Okay? So when I speak, people, they don't understand from where I come, what I'm speaking to them, what is my culture, my identity. If I want to say to them, I belong to this state, like you people, but they will not understand. That means I'm losing my identity. I'm losing my culture. That is if because I don't know more about my native language. The same is the message is there. The French teacher he feels bad. Now he is leaving, but the children they were not serious about that. They were not learning to this language, and even the adults of the village they were not coming regularly, and they don't know about their native language. Then that one message is that we should understand, we should have love for our native language, and when we have the love for the native language, that means patriotism should be there. We should love our country. We are losers. French, we are the losers. And we should love our country. We should fight for our country, for our rights. When we can fight, when we will be confident. We are done in the last poem. Okay, second poem, last paragraph. When we can bring our confidence in the people, when we know our language, how I can raise my voice when I don't know about my language? The same message is there, patriotism. You only write the message. The last lesson, the last lesson brings home, brings home to show, brings home the idea that, brings home the idea that one should not neglect, one should not neglect the learning of one's one apostrophe says. The last lesson brings home the idea that one should not neglect the learning of one's mother tongue. The learning of one's mother tongue. It is through our mother tongue, it is through our mother tongue that we can preserve, that we can preserve our identity, culture, and even freedom. Our identity, culture, and even freedom. There is the message of love for the country, love for the country, and the spirit of patriotism, and the spirit of patriotism. Okay, now next. Again, for our facility, we will divide the chapter in two parts. Okay, today we will do part 1. Part 1. It is not divided in text, we are dividing. Part 1. Unusualness in school. Unusualness in school. Point number 1. Friends scared while going to school. While going to school. Friends scared while going to school. Now first see part 1, unusualness in school. What is that? First we will discuss only part 1. Okay? We will focus our attention only on part 1 at the starting of the chapter. What it is? Friends. According to the chapter view, friends, as I told you, he is a school going boy. With the opening of the chapter, he was going to school. He was late for school. Reason? His teacher, he has given the participles, part of speech is there, participle, gerunds, participles, we have done in junior classes. participants, and he hasn't learned that. He was fearing of his scolding of by his teacher because Mr. M. Kemal, French teacher, he was very strict teacher. So he was fearing of him. Fear of the scolding was there in his mind. He doesn't want to go to school. He got late because the small children, when they don't want to go to school, they make excuse and they do the things very slowly. He walks very slowly. By foot he was going. Naturally, he would be late, and the school gate that should be closed, and he should have the excuse to say to his parents, "School ka gate band ho gaya tha," like that. Like every child, he was late for school. On the way, when he was going here, he was watching the things on the way. The Persian soldiers, they were drilling. Weather was very good. Very bright day it was. Birds were chirping. So he was fascinated by these things. First, the idea comes in mind that I shouldn't go to school. I should skip that and I should spend my day here. Then go back to my home. But again, he thought something. Then maybe I'm already late. He started going to school. On the way, there was one when he was going. There is a bulletin board is there. What is bulletin? There was a great rush near the bulletin board, notice board like bulletin board. What great rush was there? He wanted to stand there to see what bad news is there because all the bad news they are coming from the bulletin board. He wanted to see that, but he was already late, so he didn't stop there and he rushed towards the school. The moment he entered the school, unusualness. Otherwise, before the bell, when the school is not starting, at that time there was a hustle and bustle. Children they are running, and teachers in the small classes or in other there is a rule is the ruling of the that is just throwing on the desk, and the repetition of the drilling of the chapters is there, and the opening of the desk and closing of the desk. So many noises and the noisy activities were there in the school. But on that day, when he entered in the school, there was a pin drop silence, quietness, stillness is there, as it is a Sunday morning. No child was there, no noisy activities are there. It's just like a कभी संडे को यहाँ ना यहाँ पे चलो और चीज है किसी स्कूल में अपने में देखना. Only gatekeeper was there and pin drop silence was there. He thought what happened, but even then, what strategy he has kept in his mind? I'm already late. Teacher would be there in the class. What I would do, very stealthily from the back benches, I go and I sit on my seat, and I not come in the notice of the others because of these noisy activities. But when he entered, he has opened the door. Teacher was there. He was going up and down by ruling under his arm, and when he saw this, he scared. But even then, he was late. Teacher has seen him. He hasn't said anything. He was surprised. Oh, my teacher, he hasn't noticed, and he has noticed even, and he hasn't said anything. Then he sat there, but he was surprised to see at the back benches, the villagers, they were sitting there. He thought today, how they people have come? आज ये कैसे? But even then he thought, okay, कोई नहीं, देखते हैं. So that is the unusual up to this point only. One thing more will surprise friends, that is the dress of the teacher. Mr. M. Hamer, he was in his very fine favorite dress. Green color coat was there, frilled, and the cap was there, embroidered cap was there, shirt was there, and he used to wear this dress at the time of the prizes and some other inspection days. He wears this dress. So that is why he saw his teacher in this dress, but he couldn't understand anything. He sits in his class. That is the part 1. Okay. One thunderclap comes when he was in the class. Then teacher he has told about to the student that today about the France-Persian War. France was defeated. The district of Alsace and Lorraine, they have come under the Persians. So from tomorrow the German will be taught. Today is the last lesson of French. That is the thunderclap and the surprise. Then he understood why the people, there was a great rush, there was a great crowd near the bulletin board. We should focus up to this point. Okay, that is a part one. Now friends care while going to school. What can be the reason? Participants. Okay, he was asked to learn the participants. He couldn't learn. That is why he was fearing of the scolding of his teacher. Point one is clear. Second one. Second point. Thinking of. You write yourself. You can write about. We will do the question and then it will be more clear. Thinking of running away from school. Thinking of running away from school and spending the day out. Spending the day out. Now, 4 points were there. Birds were chirping, very bright day. Persian soldiers were drilling, okay, and the fear of scolding. 4 points are there. That is why he was thinking of going away. No need to write, I'll send the PDF. Okay, उसमें ये सारा कुछ होगा जो हम अभी कर रहे हैं. Everything will be there. Only we should understand the story, the part one. It should be clear. That is thinking of running away. Reason, the day was good, very bright. Persian soldiers, they were doing the drilling and birds were chirping. And last one, having the fear of scolding by the teacher. Third point. Scene at the town hall. Point number 3.
Second one.
Yes. First one, this one, friends there. Scene at the town hall. Scene, SCENE. A big crowd was there. Okay, because, and he tensed. He was tensed because all the bad news, they are coming from the bulletin board. Then he thought, today what has happened? Ab aaj kya sunna padega? But he is written there. But he didn't have the time. He was already late. So he rushed to school. Third point is clear. Point number 4. Usual bustle, BUSTLE. Third point is scene at the town hall. Scene at the town hall. I am repeating 2-3 times. Is there any need to write on the blackboard? See, it will be clear, finished earlier. Okay, we can do the school magazine report. Already the class has been so late. Fourth point is usual bustle missing at the school. Usual bustle missing at the school. What is there? Usual bustle, which I told you. No noisy activities like the opening and closing of the desk and the drilling of the repeating of the chapters and the lessons by the teachers and the hitting of the ruler on the desk by the teacher. So such activities were not there. Still and quietness was there in the school. Okay, and it appears that today is the Sunday morning. These 3 points are there in fourth one. Usual bustle. Bustle means ronak activity, show, sharaba, like that. It is in the school. Fourth point is there. Usual bustle missing at the school because all these things, noisy activities were not there. Point number 5. What surprised friends in the class? What surprised friends in the class?
Question or a point?
Hanji?
This is a point.
Point, 5 points. What surprised friends in the class? When friends entered in the class, nothing happened. Teacher, he didn't shout. Okay, he told him very quietly, okay, come and sit, take your seat. Okay, and the teacher, he was in his favorite dress. And the villagers, the old people, they were sitting at the back of the class. This is this point, right? संडे मॉर्निंग कैसे था?
संडे मॉर्निंग जैसा था ये तो सरकारी।
अच्छा वो हमने कर लिया ना, फोर्थ में यूजुअल लेस कर दिया. ठीक है, unusualness or usual person was missing in the school. That point we have taken in that Sunday morning, right? He's surprised. He's surprised when he entered in the school gate. Now he is near the classroom gate. Okay. When he entered in the classroom gate, but how he surprised? What were the things inside the class? Next point, 6 point. A thunderclap, हैरानगी. A thunderclap to friends. THUNDERCNAP. Thunderclap to friends. Again, what is there? Today is the last lesson of French. From tomorrow, German will be taught as France was defeated, and in the districts of Lawrence and Alsace and Lorraine. Now, from tomorrow, the German will be taught. That is a thunderclap for all the children, but as France, for France, it is a thunderclap. He is surprised because the main character is France. We are not talking about all the other students of the class. We are talking about one child. So that was a thunderclap for France. 6 point is there. 7. A grim, GRIM. A grim situation for France. Grim situation for France. For France, he felt sorry. He felt sad. Okay, that now his teacher is leaving. He felt sorry for this, that we haven't given attention to our own language, from where now we should learn. So he was feeling, that is the feelings and in this point, the feelings and the state of mind of friends. Okay, this is our part 1. Part 1 from where we have started. From the starting, friends, he was fearing of scolding by the teacher. He didn't learn the participles. He wanted to spend the time outside and want to skip the school. Reasons that we have written. Third point is, when he entered the school gate, he was surprised. He realized that today it appears that it is a Sunday morning because stillness and quietness was there. Then when the bulletin board on the way, he saw a crowd near the bulletin board and he was just tense to see this day because he was late. He hasn't given the attention, but he was very much tense now today what would happen, because all the bad news, they are coming from the bulletin board. Next one, the thunderclap for him, but surprise plans in the class because his teacher, who was so strict, he hasn't said any word to him. Only he said, okay, you come and take your seat and sit there. Okay, this is our part 1, unusualness in school. In school also, in the attitude of the teacher also, everything, everywhere, near the school gate, when he comes, near the school classroom, when he enters, inside the classroom, everywhere there is unusualness. It's clear? Now to one question. What did friends notice? Write speedily. What did friends notice that was unusual? What did friends notice that was unusual about the school that day? About the school that day. When friends reached school, there was unusual quietness. There was unusual quietness. Usually when the school began, there used to be, usually when the school began, there used to be a lot of noisy activities. Used to be lot of noisy activities. The noise could be heard in the street The noise could be heard in the street. These activities consisted of opening and closing of desks, drill learning of lessons, and the sound created by the hitting of the ruler, the sound created by the hitting of the ruler of the teacher on the table. Hitting of the ruler of the teacher on the table. But that day, it seemed to be a Sunday morning. S or M highlight. But that day, it seemed to be a Sunday morning. Second paragraph. Then friends hoped he would be able to enter his class unseen. He would be able to enter his class unseen because of noise. But again, there was quietness and order. Order, all are in their seats. Quite discipline is there in the class. But again, there was quietness and order in the class. All his classmates were in their seats. All his classmates were in their seats. In their places. The teacher was walking up and down. The teacher was walking up and down with his ruler under his arms. The teacher was walking up and down with his ruler under his arm. So, he had to enter the classroom. Before everybody's eyes. Everybody, apostrophe S. Before everybody's eyes. Last paragraph. More surprises were there. More surprises were there for friends. More surprises were there for friends. The teacher was wearing his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, frilled, F-R-I-L-L-E-D, his frilled shirt and an embroidered, E-M-B-R-O-I-D-E-R-E-D, embroidered cap, black silk cap, and a embroidered black silk cap. He had worn these clothes. He had worn these clothes only on special days. He had worn these clothes only on special days like inspection day or prize day. We will highlight or we will underline. Like inspection day or prize day. The school appeared, the school appeared strange and solemn. Solemn, quietness. The school appeared strange and solemn. The most unusual thing, the most unusual, underline most unusual. The most unusual thing that friends noticed was that what was some village elders some village elders were also sitting in the class. Some village elders were also sitting in the class on back benches. Were also sitting in the class on back benches, which always remained empty. Which always remained empty. Everybody also looked sad. Everybody also looked sad. All this was unusual. All this was unusual. Okay, this is our part 1. So, you let me know about that. As we can't read the chapters, we don't have the time even. But each and every word you can, if you have the book, you can tally the language of this answer with your NCERT book. It will be same. बिल्कुल सेम वही सिंपल सी लैंग्वेज है इफ वी विल डू फ्रॉम अदर गाइड्स एंड फ्रॉम अदर reference books there might be some vocabulary and some sentence formation it may be complicated but you can tally it's the simplest language the answer which I just given to you okay you want in this because this is our first chapter previously there were the poems I have to explain but now the chapters we will divide them as I told you earlier also we will divide the chapters in parts. Then we have just discussed the chapter views, how many points were there. Then one from this question, all the views, all the points they are clear. You just let me know whether you want to write the question likewise or not, or I should proceed the chapter as per your choice. Question 1 is necessary because at home at least we should know what we have done and what is the story. Okay. One question I will do like that wise so that the topic should be clear and other things that will be given to you through PDF. Clear? Continue. Questions. Only write the questions. Part 1 Abby. Still. You write down on left hand side questions. First point. Why was Franz afraid scolding? Why was Franz afraid scolding? Second, why did Franz think of running away from school and spending the day out? And spending the day out. Why did friends think of running away from school and spending the day out? I think this is our second point. Third question. What constituted the bustle? What constituted the bustle when the school began? What constituted the bustle when the school began? Four. Why was there a crowd? Why was there a crowd in front of the bulletin board at the town hall? Why was there a crowd in front of the bulletin board at the town hall? Write the answer of this question. Tick mark this question and write the answer. There was a crowd. There was a crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board. There was a crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board at the town hall. In front of the bulletin board at the town hall. People were reading some notice there. People were reading some notice there. All the bad news during the last 2 years, all the bad news during the last 2 years had come from there. During the last 2 years had come from there. They had already known about the lost battles. They had already known about the lost battles and the news about lost battles and the news about the drafting of people for military service. Drafting of people for military service. जबरन भर्ती किया जाता था ना सेना में पहले बोला like that. For military service. The orders from the commanding officer had also reached the people. The orders from the commanding officer had also reached the people from this notice board. From this notice board. When friends passed the town hall, he began to think what the matter could be then. What the matter could be then. What the matter could be then. That was our question number 4. Question 5. Why did friends blush? Question number 5. Why did friends blush and feel frightened? Blush and feel frightened when he entered the class. Feel frightened when he entered the class. We can pick out the answer from the long question which we have written. Okay? When he entered the class, what was the scene? and what he thought and what was the response of the teacher. We can write the answer. Question number 6. What surprised friends in the class? What surprised friends in the class? What surprised friends in the class? 7. What struck 7 point? What struck as a thunderclap to friends? What struck as a thunderclap to friends? Last question. What had been put up on the bulletin board? What had been put up on the bulletin board? Write the answer of this question. Take mark this last question and write the answer. In the France-Persian War, France small hyphen Persian P-R-U-S-S-I-A-N. In the France-Persian War, W capital, write in bracket 1870-71. In the France-Persian War, comma, France was defeated. France-Persian War, France was defeated. As a result, French districts of Alsace, A capital, A-L-S-A-C-E, Alsace and Lorraine, L capital, L-O-R-R-A-I-N-E, L-O-R-R-A-I-N-E, Alsace and Lorraine passed into Persian hands. As a result, French districts of Alsace and Lorraine passed into Persian hands. Immediately an order was issued from Berlin, B capital, B-E-R-L-I-N, from Berlin that henceforth, H-E-N-C-E-F-O-R-T-H, in future, henceforth, in coming time, from tomorrow, henceforth, only German, G capital, henceforth, only German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The teaching of French had been banned forthwith. The teaching of French, F capital, the teaching of French had been banned forthwith, F-O-R-T-H-W-I-T-H, in future, coming time. This order had been banned forthwith. One word is there. This order had been put up on the bulletin board of the town hall. This order had been put up on the bulletin board of the town hall. इस तरह से आपने करना है, डिस्कस करना है, लिखना है, पूछना है, okay, conversation ताकि there is no need to open any book or to learn something. If MCQ there, that we will do the practice. What I told you, take one sample paper, okay, market में आए, you do the practice, करो उसको. If any doubt, any question is there. A part one, first of all, I told you at that time also, when there is a question in the question paper, you see that question. Then you recall. It's part one, part two, part three. Which part of the chapter is there? Then you only focus on that part of the chapter. उसका देखो क्या मेथड था, कैसे स्टोरी जा रही थी, कहाँ से शुरू हुई. We can make the answer 2 marks, 3 marks. MCQ का है तो हमें स्टोरी बिल्कुल क्लियर होनी चाहिए. ठीक है, कोई क्रैमिंग नहीं, कुछ नहीं. इसके बाद ये नहीं कि आप इंग्लिश को देखो पहला चैप्टर हम पढ़ेंगे ना प्री बोर्ड, उसमें तो डेफिनेटली यू विल लर्न द क्वेश्चन आंसर एंड यू विल लर्न मीनिंग, अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए. Some bookish language is necessary, no doubt, but you are writing each and everything. Something which is left you will get in the beginning. Part 2 we will start. हाँ जी, if there will be time. So tomorrow again we are having one sitting. ठीक है, Monday Tuesday you got the हाँ Monday Tuesday 12:20. आज थोड़ा लेट हो गया. Part 2. First part we have done about friends. What he thought, how he was teaching, now he is in the class. After that, what has happened? What was the attitude? What is the state of mind of the teacher? And what he taught? He has given the participants. He was so strict. He hasn't used his ruler on that day. Was it emotional? And he told to the students or to the villagers, the adults who are sitting at the back, what is the importance of our own language and what is French language. That is part 2. Right? Points, chapter view. Point number 1. M. Hamer's views. Chapter view. M. Hamer's views. What is his views? First, he announced about the French language. It will not be taught from tomorrow. Then he told to the people, to the students, that you know that it is very beautiful language and we should know about our native language. But you people haven't given the attention towards that. And I feel so sorry for that. And now from tomorrow, you all people will be taught about the German language and you don't know about your own language. These are the Amhemer's views about his French language. Okay. Second one, last lesson. Last lesson means last lecture. Last lecture. Now, what is the atmosphere on that day in the class? First of all, he has given his lecture on grammar. Then he has given his lecture on writing. Previously, the children and they were just looking here and they are talking, they are not paying attention towards the lecture of the teacher. Okay, and the birds, the insects, those who are flying in the room, they are just diverting their attention. Means it shows to the teacher that if he is using the ruler, he shouts, or then again they see towards the books and the lecture which is going on in the class. But on that day, only there is a sound of the scratching of the pen. Means everybody was so much serious, so much sad about the leaving of their teacher, about that now from tomorrow this language will not be taught. And whatever the things are done by the teacher in the class, they are just noting down that. Nobody was talking to each other. Quietness, calmness is there in the class, and only the stitching of the pen, it is going on, running on the paper. That sound is heard in the classroom. This point is clear about the last lesson. He gave a lecture on grammar, then writing, then history also in this way. So then after that he is giving about the importance of his own language. Last third part, 10 point, the causes for students the causes for students not learning their lesson. Not learning their lesson. He has taken the 3 points. Why the students they are not learning their lesson? Why you people are feeling so bad today that you haven't paid any attention towards your own language? He said that 3 points are there, 3 persons they are responsible for that. First of all, the students who put off their learning for tomorrow. कल कर लेंगे, कल आता तो बहुत लेट आता है. ठीक है, इकट्ठा हो गया, कल कर लूंगा, अगला शुरू हो गया, पिछला है कल कर लूंगा, like that. They put off their learning for tomorrow. Then he makes responsible to the parents also. At that time when this chapter was written, at that time the parents they are not aware with the career and with the education of their children. उस समय की बात है जब ये chapters लिखे गए थे. आजकल बच्चों से ज्यादा aware parents है, vice versa है, not of the present time. Okay, but at that time parents they involve their children in their business. कोई बात नहीं, स्कूल में एडमिशन करा दीजिए, यूज इट इन द फॉर्म इन द फैक्ट्री और दे सेंड इन द मार्केट फॉर द products which are needed for their own business in factory. So in this way, they make their children not to be so serious and to be regular in school or in school work, and they just involve them in their own work. Maybe a small shop is there, maybe a big factory is there. Okay? Then you make the parents responsible for that. Third point, he makes teachers responsible for the put of learning by the they are not paying attention towards the study. How the teacher, जैसे हम आजकल सुनते हैं, but it is not like that as it is the discussion of the society and other government teacher का ग्राफ ले लेते हैं जैसे बोलते हैं. The teacher they are just involving the students with the work. Okay, go and bring for me like this. आज मेरे बैंक पैसे जमा करवाना, मैम सर कल आऊंगा नहीं ना ताना मत आना ये. For any pretext, they want leave from the teacher. Teacher give them. For any pretext, for their own work, they give to the children and they said, then tomorrow, then how I can come in the class? Okay, you leave that, I'll see. Like this. In this way, he said, somehow teachers, they are also responsible for this cause. As the children, they are not doing their work regularly for their own pretext or for the some excuses by the child. And the teacher, they give off to them and they just make their personal work from the students. Okay, this point is like this. The causes for students not learning their lessons. Next point, point number 4. M. Hemel's emotional farewell. M. Hemel's emotional farewell. Points write down. इसके सब पॉइंट्स लिखेंगे. The church clock struck 12. The church clock struck 12. Second point, like don't write 1 or 2 like this. Second, the trumpets of hyphen salgati. The trumpets of trumpets drum से नगारे से जो होते हैं. The trumpets of the Persian soldiers. The Persians soldiers रहने दो. The trumpets of the Persians sounded under the windows. Sounded under the windows. कोई भी है जो नेक्स्ट आ रही है टीम, जो नेक्स्ट लोग आ रहे हैं, दे पीपल आर हैप्पी, दे आर ज्वाइनिंग, दे आर स्टार्टिंग, देयर इज द बिगिनिंग and R is the ending, finishing. Okay, finishing point is there. So they are just making the merrymaking and the other the trumpets, the nagare baja rahe, dol baja rahe in that. Next is he picked up a piece of chalk. He, Mr. M. Hemel, he picked up a piece of chalk and wrote wife la France. Vive la France. It means long live France. Vive la France on the blackboard. He took a piece of chalk and write why love friends on the blackboard. Next point. Then he made a gesture. Then he made a gesture with his made a gesture gesture with his hand and said. Then he made a gesture with his hand and said, comma, inverted commas, school is dismissed. School is dismissed. Hyphen, you may go. School is dismissed. Hyphen, you may go. Like, he was so emotional, he couldn't speak. And he just made, bas ab jao. Okay? Silently, he just gave the gesture of his hand to the student and he said, now you leave, now you go. So this is the last lesson of Mr. Anthony. Title. How does M. Hammer, comma, the French teacher, make the people realize. How does M. Hammer, the French teacher, make the people realize the importance of learning their language? Learning their language. Write down. It is M. Hammer's last day at school. It is M. Hammer's last day at school and also the last day for the teaching of French and also the last day for the teaching of French because it has been stopped through orders from Berlin. Through orders from Berlin. Second paragraph. M. Himmel asked friends to recite the rule. Here's listen, okay? M. Himmel asked friends to recite. You are asking something? To recite the rule for participles. To recite the rule for participles, but he had not learned it. But he had not learned it. He tried to tell, but got confused. He means friends. He tried to tell, but got confused on the first words, and stood there with his head down. Stood there with his head down. The teacher did not scold him. The teacher did not scold him, but made him feel ashamed. But made him feel ashamed. Paragraph. He said that he had been putting off learning. He had been putting off learning, comma, feeling that there was plenty of time putting off learning, comma, feeling that there was plenty of time and he would learn the next day. There was plenty of time and he would learn the next day. But the next day never came. But the next day never came. This was the trouble with all of them. This was the trouble with all of them. And the result was they could neither write nor speak French. They could neither write nor speak French. Their parents, and also the teachers were also to blame. Their parents and also the teachers were also to blame for this state of affair. Also to blame for this state of affair. Their parents and also the teachers were also to blame for this state of affair. Their parents were not keen. Their parents were not keen about their learning, They were putting them to work on a farm or in a factory to earn money. On a farm or in a factory to earn money. The parents, underline the parents. The teachers, now underline the teachers. Now, start here. This point is at its same. The teachers were also sending them. The teachers were also sending them to water their plants instead of learning, or they had been taking a day off to go fishing. Last paragraph. In the end, M. Hemel told them that the French language was the most logical language. The French language was the most logical language. It was their duty to guard it. They should never forget it. They must keep it alive. They must keep it alive It is the most clearest. It is the most clearest language. When a nation is enslaved, when a nation is enslaved, 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 comma, as long as people do not lose their language, when a nation is enslaved, comma, as long as people do not lose their language, they have the key to the prison. They have the key to the prison. Underline this line. When a nation is enslaved, as long as people do not lose the language, they have the key to the prison. What is mean language? Our language, that is the key to the prison. हम enslaved हैं, अंदर जेल में हैं, कैसे बाहर आएंगे हम? When we don't know about our language, how we can find no confidence? Okay, that is the key to the prison. They can open it. They can open it. Prison means slavery. They can open it and set themselves free. They can open it and set themselves free. I'll take 2-3 minutes only question. Right in left hand side. All the answers are in this answer. Only write the question. How did France feel? Question number 1. Questions. How did France feel at learning the order? At learning the order, banning the teaching of French. At learning the order, banning the teaching of French. He feels sorry, he feels sad, he hasn't given attention towards that, put up learning like this. All the points will come 2 or 3 marks, okay? Second, why has the old villagers come to the class that day? Why had the old villagers come to the class that day? इसका लिख लो, ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं है, 2-3 लाइन ही है, इसमें आया नहीं आंसर में. The old men of the village, tick mark this question, write the answer. The old men of the village had come to the class and sat in the back of the room. The old men of the village had come to the class and sat in the back of the room because they were sorry that the teacher was going away. They were feeling bad, that they were sorry that the teacher was going away. They were also sorry that they had not gone to school more. They were also sorry that they had not gone to school more. In this way, they had come to thank their master. They had come to thank their master for his 40 years of faithful service. 40 years of faithful service. It was their way of THEIR. It was their way of showing respect. It was their way of showing respect to the country, that was theirs, THEIRS, that was theirs no more. That was theirs no more. Question number 3. What was France expected to recite? What was France expected to recite? What was the result? Question mark. What was the result? What was France expected to recite? Question mark. What was the result? He was expected to recite the root for the participle. Result क्या था? He got confused from the starting of the. Okay, the answer we will pick up. Next question. What did the French teacher M. Hamel? What did the French teacher M. Hamel say about the language? What did the French teacher M. Hamel say about the language? Last 3-4 lines of the down question. Last question. What are the causes for students? What are the causes for students not learning their lessons? What are the causes for students not learning their lessons? That we can write student, parents, teacher. Okay, we should know the points. So this is our chapter, the last lesson. Okay, divided in 2 parts. Questions are given. Chapter view is there. Even then, any query is there. You wait for the PDF answer. I'll send maybe today or tomorrow. Tomorrow we will start lesson 2. Part 1 we will do. और स्कूल मैगजीन रिपोर्ट Part 1 करेंगे हम सिर्फ